Hello and welcome to another episode of the Christian Reeve podcast. Today's guest is a model, a podcaster, an entrepreneur, a social advocate, and much, much more. His name is Reuben Sam. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
Hi, Christian. I'm doing great. Thank you very much for having me, and hi to your audience.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you here, man. Do you know, I was thinking before I came on, I was thinking this guy is like my spirit animal. Like I feel like where there's like something there about both of our personalities that just clicks. And like when we met, I felt it a bit, and I heard you talk more, and then obviously like we crack jokes and stuff, and I
Yeah.
don't know, like when I hear you talk about certain things, like be it work or whatever, I'm like, this is a similar way to how I look at things as well, and that was big reason why I wanted to get you on the show because I just like I feel like in a way it's like having a conversation with myself. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm quite flattered about, the introduction and, the actual, all the evaluation that you made out of our meeting, our first meetup. To be fair, I only click with the people that I can actually resonate with.
Mm.
And when we met, and shall we say the story how we did actually meet? You know.
What I just thinking what we can say. I think we can. Okay, we can say it. Yeah, actually, we
Yeah,
just can't give specifics, but we can say what it was. Yeah, sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%, 100%. It
Makes
was
it sound dodgy when I say that. It's not dodgy.
no, no, definitely it's not dodgy, but it was as a model, and you as well, part of this creative industry. We both met into a studio on a set of a studio where we were casted for a music video. Now, of course, it is not obvious that you meet an actor or a model in the same place, but we happened to just meet each other on this studio in Manchester to shoot a video music video. Now, before the music video, of course, we had to get to know our co-worker and working partners. And that's where we met each other for the first time. Me coming all the way from Stoke-on-Trent, whilst you down from some London.
Yeah,
And
no, I live in Manchester, but
now
yeah, so
living in
I didn't
Manchester.
come.
But
Yeah,
no, but of course, you originally from London, and I said, "Wow,
yeah.
that's so cool. Why so many people from London moved up north?" And that's when we started getting into it. And of course, me, I originally from born and bred in Italy, and I
Mm.
and ended, in Stoke-on-Trent, and then followed my career over there, the modeling career. But again, you were the first. You were on time, like me.
You
We
were
were
early.
both.
You were the first there. I remember that. You were
Yeah,
there early. I walked in, shook hands, started chatting, and yeah, then everyone else starts filing in slowly.
yeah. So we had to actually break the ice somehow. So I said, okay, let me just go for it and just let me introduce myself, and then I start our, introduction. And it was good because then it all just replicated throughout the actual, work that we did on the set. So it was a really great meeting.
Do you think it will ever get released?
You know what? I do hope so because if you get the chance, you, the audience, if you get the chance to see what we worked on together, you'll be kind of surprised because you would never expect that at all.
I certainly didn't. Like, it was an artist that I grew up listening to, and I thought that they would be there, and when they
Mm,
weren't, I was like, ah. But then I had a lot of fun with everybody. That's the thing. It was quite a unique concept,
yes.
and um, I mean, I know you do stuff like this all the time, and we'll get into it. But like for me, it felt like a big deal. I don't know. Like I don't often get to do like stuff that actually feels big, And
Mm,
for me, that was a big deal. And then it was just like back to work the next day. But still, like
yeah.
it was fun. I don't know. It was cool. And I mean, that kind of brings it to you. Like I was hearing about some of the stuff that you do, and I was like, wow, like you're very down to earth considering like some of the things you do. Like I'll give you an example. For instance, you've worked with Vanity Fair, you've done like fashion walks. I think at that particular time you'd just come back from Paris.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like it's huge. Like from the modeling standpoint, that's like top of the top, creme de la creme. Like, but again, you see you're very down to earth, you're just a chill guy. But what's it like being in those situations? I mean, like I remember you showing me the clips and the photos. It looks quite intense, and obviously we hear a lot of stories about that world. But
Hmm.
what's it like for you? What's your perception?
Now, let me start by saying that I never, honestly, like never in my life I thought to be a model because like professional model because of my condition. I never had the opportunity to just showcase my, let's say, now current beauty. Now is kind of my one of my my assets, I would say. But the fact that I'm down to earth, I think that still helps me a lot to understand that, how to relate to people, how to approach people. And in the modeling, the fashion industry is really important because you get in touch and connected with different kind of people every single day from all walks of life. And if you're not able to just, I wouldn't say change the way you approach yourself to others, but I think it should be like a life skill, the adaptability,
Hmm.
because sometimes when you grow up, you put yourself on a fixed mindset where, okay, these are the things that I know, and this is how the things should go, and these are the things where everyone should be on the same path as I am. And in my journey throughout, my childhood, where I had the opportunity to just interact with different communities and different people from different, cultures, it made me realize that it's really important to just give them the time to just express themselves, and then of course try to figure out, okay, how can we work together? How can I not step in your toes, pretend to be something that I am not? It is about understanding the person on the other side. And I think the adaptability that helped me a lot. And again, I'm not perfect and I've done my mistakes, tons of them, because of course I've started my modeling in career for 4 years ago now.
Oh wow.
And it's relatively new compared to icons where that they start around the age of 15, 14. So I had pimples and rashes on my face by that age, and definitely skincare was not part of my routine back then. But then of course I learned through my experience and the journey on the fashion industry, and interacting with different kind of people is the thing. Like fashion is about people and not just, of course, is a business is an industry and there's business involved. But you as a model, when you get into that industry, you realize that it's so crucial to be able to just, network, being able to read people, that adaptability thing is crucial, I say.
With networking, what kind of opportunities has it brought to you? Like, because I think this is a really important point. It's something that I've noticed certainly in my life that you've got to get out there. You've got to start talking to people, throwing ideas around. You never like one thing is like you never know by going to a particular thing who you might meet, what it might lead to, etc., etc. Walk us through your experiences with networking and how that set up some of the opportunities that you've had.
Right. I would say, let's go back a point is putting yourself out there. So being able to just do the first step, because that's where is the major part of networking. So essentially that's when as well my modeling career started. I just decided to just post a picture on Instagram,
Oh wow.
and that went slightly viral, and then the guy just saw it on my post and then reposted on his story. And after that, I realized, okay, it's really important for me just to go for it. So being on an environment where you may feel a bit uncomfortable, and that's crucial. because I do feel uncomfortable every day. You know, it's that kind of imposter syndrome that everyone just
You still
get.
get that?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
But why? I mean, like just the other day you were posting about. I think you were in Liverpool, I believe, and it was an advert you did for either a clothing brand out there or maybe the football team, something like that. I can't recall, but
Yeah,
like huge. Do you know what I mean? I see you doing huge things all the time. Like, how could you
yeah.
possibly doubt yourself at this point?
For the when you do it for the first time, you may
Sure.
feel that. You may feel that. And for me, it's always the first time every time I just go back into the new job. So I need to just get myself, okay, take a step back. You're here. Go and put your skills out there. So network is about getting myself into the position where, okay, I don't really know what is the environment. Let me just cut around. You know, I might go even with my friends or, you know, there's maybe someone that I do know. But then it's up to me. It's always up to you, you know, to take that first jump. And it will feel uncomfortable, 100%. I still can remember the day when I just flew out of Italy and got here to the UK. And the my dad's friends didn't really manage to speak English that good, you know, that well. I said, just go and talk to that guy. And you're like, come on, I just flew out of Italy and it's my first time in the UK. I don't have a clue. But he put me on the spot there. So I had to just, you know, try my best. And I think putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation sometimes it can be is a double-edged sword, I'll say. It can be really rewarding, or on the other end, really embarrassing.
Oh, dude, I know that feeling. Like, I had it the other day. I can't remember what the scenario was, but I think I was trying to crack jokes. That's something I like to do. Crack jokes, just kind of bring some levity to the situation. And like, sometimes it just doesn't go down well, and you just feel like a muppet, and you're like, "Well, I'm just being me. If you don't like me, well, I mean, it sucks, but you know,
Yeah,
whatever." Like, but it's still kind of you just feel a bit like, ah.
yeah. You feel that is the part where you know. Of course, British humor is completely different from you know the
Sure,
type
yeah.
of humor that I grew up with, and not many people get it, and that's really hard. But that's not your fault. I'll say that as long as you're able to express yourself and you know crack that joke whenever you feel it, that crowd will come to you when you find your right environment. Like so that's what Jimmy Carr says, and he doesn't really care about nowadays. He just whatever he likes it is unfiltered.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one, that isn't it? With comedy in general right now, what you can and can't say. Like, I don't know where I stand on all of that. I think, yeah, I don't know. It's hard
Yeah,
because
it's
it's
hard.
part of me it feels like, oh, you should be able to joke about like anything. Anything should be off, like, you know, there should be nothing off limits. But then the other part of
Yeah.
me is kind of like, well, I don't like the idea of like deliberately trying to provoke either. Like, I feel like you can just do comedy without having to do that. But
Mm.
I don't know. I mean, I suppose the whole underlying point is do it your way and just see what happens, I guess.
Yeah, I think there's a silver lining over there because comedy is just why would you do you know satire and not comedy? The satire is really harsh. And some people just love it. It's like dark humor, like proper, proper dark humor, and there's no filters there. So where is actually the you know the edge? And I think that the comedy is on kind of the same spectrum ultimately.
Yeah.
So
I
it
mean,
really depends. It really depends on what you want to portray, you know, and that in that specific moment in that fraction.
I got friends that have got like really super dark humor. And the way I look at it is I think we should all be allowed to have like our own differing types of humor and like never like deliberately target people, but just, you know, you like what you like and that's it. And I
Yeah,
don't know, maybe that can kind of work. Because I feel like a lot of the time when you see like public outrage over something, it's like I suppose the idea is like, okay, a large proportion of people do not like this thing, but that doesn't mean that everyone dislikes this thing, you
Yeah.
know. And a lot of the time when things get like cancelled, you hear that word thrown around a lot, don't you?
Hmm.
People taken off television, whatever. It's because they're, adhering to a general kind of public consensus, a general public feeling. I'm
Yeah.
interested to see what happens in the next sort of 10 years because I don't think this whole cancel culture thing will last. I think it's a generational thing. I think the next generation will be completely different
Yes.
because that's how every generation is. It's different. And it'd be interesting to see like how things change because, like, for instance, we're a similar age. I'm 30. How old are you?
With peers. Yes.
How old are you? Sorry.
30.
Are you same age as me?
Yeah, yeah,
Damn! Look how good this guy looks, man. Damn.
yeah.
Well, okay. So you'll remember. I know we grew up in different places, but like around the 2000s, it was kind of an edgy humor period, kind of deliberately so. But it didn't.
Hmm.
It didn't feel that way. Like it didn't feel outrageous, And maybe that's just because we were younger and we just saw it differently. But like I don't remember people getting like super offended. I remember people saying things occasionally, but even
Yeah.
the way people expressed uncomfortability about things, it would be like, okay, people complained about this, and it's been noted, but whatever. Like maybe it's not shown in these particular places, or maybe it's not shown at this time, or like what I mean. Whereas
Yes.
now things just get like outright taken off television, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know where I sit on something like that.
Yeah, you know what? I do agree with you because ultimately it is a generation like a generational thing. Let's compare the 80s and the 90s when
Sure.
hip hop and the pop culture, actually hip hop and rap started to just kick in into the actual pop culture where curse words,
Mm.
absolutely horrendous way to talking about people and women and drugs and gang and all sorts. That was outrageous back then. Whereas now is becoming okay if a pop or a rap song doesn't have a specific type of words, like a combination of words, it doesn't work. Whereas if you think about the 20s or the 30s around the swing era, music era, everyone was so clean, that there was no chance that you could hear a swear word on a
Oh
song.
no.
On a song. Whereas nowadays, if you're not on a specific type of genre, oh, you definitely gonna hear it.
I know what you
And
mean. I kind of maybe it's just me, but I don't like anything that's hypersexualized. I just feel
mhm,
like it's like too much. It's just in your face. Do you know what I mean? It's like you get the idea, or sorry, the example like the 20s, 30s when things were clean, when it was like
yeah,
obviously it's a different era, and music and popular culture is always about pushing the boundaries, pushing things further. So it was inevitable this was going to happen. And some
yeah,
people would argue it came about as part of the 60s, 70s, like sexual revolution. You know what I mean? Like
hmm,
everything was all connected, and it traverses through the generations. But I feel like now it's gone from, oh, we want to talk about sex and like not make it so taboo, to like everyone's talking about it always ever, and I can't get away from it.
yeah,
Like I walk down the street and I see 15 million adverts and they're all like sexualized, and it's like maybe I don't want to see that all the time. Maybe do you know what I mean? Like even social
yeah,
media, like sometimes I'll look through Instagram, like they've got like a for you. Like I don't generally use it, but I just see
yeah,
like 15 million people in like I don't know swimming gear. And I'm like, why is this being pushed to me? I don't want to see this. You
yeah,
know, I don't understand because
exactly.
I never look at it, and then when I do glance at it, it's like Jesus, like
Yeah, and then you keep scrolling and it's like, okay, stop it. I this is not part of what I look for. So I do believe that it is like a generational phase. And I'm quite interested to see what we'll have in the next 10, 20 years. Because at the speed, the rate that we are going at the moment, where after the pandemic, everything seems to have sped up like what, 10x? even 20x. I'm just imagining, like, can you imagine what is going to happen in less than 10 years?
You know, I find really funny is like how remember how like boomers and millennials would clash years ago, and they still do, but like really would clash. And now the new generation clashes with millennials, and you see a lot of
Yeah.
millennials kind of going like, "Oh, why don't they like us?" And it's like, well, this is just how it works. Like you reject the generation that preceded you because you're just in some way you differ greatly, or like philosophically or whatever. And, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just find that like the ultimate irony.
Yeah. Because, new generation comes and it's always worse than the one that we were of. So, our boomers, we didn't really like him. We're millennials. Now we have the Gen Z. The next one will be the Gen Alpha. Gosh, God only knows what the Gen Alpha will be.
Can't
So,
believe that they're called Gen Alpha as well. What the hell? What is
yeah,
that?
that I've got no clue. Like, what would you call you a Gen Alpha?
Well, you know what that
But
means as well. The generation after that will be Generation Beta.
come on, we're already in the future. I can see already AI bots are running all over the place in the streets. So, yeah,
Yeah, that'll be the end of life, won't it? Just AI everywhere.
yeah. I mean, it's pretty much here, and there's places in the world where they're still trying to catch up, and
Yeah.
it will be just it is unfair. I would say it's unfair because some countries have some technological advantage over others, and people on that in those countries, especially the lower classes and the middle class and the working class, doesn't really is not really interested on that. But they will basically get caught up with the wind of AI.
See, I don't know how you feel. I want to find out how you feel, but my kind of ethos and certainly my audience's general feelings about AI is negative. I see it as
Mm,
something that's trying to replace humans, and I find that puzzling because the whole point of us designing and creating AI was to improve human life. Why are we trying to replace human life? You know, I don't like that. You say like, oh, certain countries are not catching up, maybe they'll have a disadvantage. You're probably right, but then their quality of life. I mean, well, let's look at that for a second. Like AI is trying to replace jobs. It
hmm
already is. It already is replacing jobs. So people are losing jobs, which means there's more of an unemployment issue.
hmm
Like in countries that maybe don't have as much technology, they might still be poor and be struggling, but maybe at least there'll still be jobs. Do you know what I mean? Still ways
yeah.
to live in some shape or form. And I know I'm generalizing here, by the way, but it's just, I don't know. I just can't, I struggle to see the positives with AI. I don't want to sit and be a fearmonger, but at the same time, it kind of frustrates me that people are like, "Oh, this is great," it's like the latest iPhone kind of attitude, and it's like, no, 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 no. This is a problem. Like this, if we're not careful with how we make decisions right now, it
Yeah.
could affect us in a drastic way in 20 years from now, 30 years from now, 50 years from
Yeah.
now. And I feel like more people need to be talking about this. I've spoken about it on other shows and here a little bit about obviously from the work perspective, but I don't know. You're already seeing it from a societal perspective as well. We're already seeing like content put out there onto YouTube, which is fully AI
Yeah.
generated, and it's like it's encouraging laziness. But anyway, what do you think? Your thoughts?
What do I think? Now, I worked with the AI, let's say, for almost 2 years before quitting my life, my job, my 9 to 5 job.
Oh wow!
So I was working into on a department which primarily was doing data analysis, and we worked onto virtual assistant. So a lot of AI technology was going through it, and of course we supported customer through that virtual assistant. Now we still had the customer service. So what is my current opinion on it? Now I worked for it, and I'm not
Uh,
working there anymore.
so you're part of the well, part you were part of the system. You're part of the problem.
Am I part of the problem? I would say that at this stage, I found a lot of benefit when I was
Okay.
working there, but at the same time, I'm really an advocate for the humanism, let's say, point of view, where I work a lot with stay in touch with people. I like to just learn about people, human behavior. Not for chance. I became a mental health advocate
Mm.
because I want to just be in touch with having that human touch, regardless. And I know that with AI, we lose some of it. That's definitely because the human experience can transpire actually you can transpire to through AI. So we have to go through the human experience, which when I was working through the I didn't really feel because we did speak to customers, but that was just a bot. And customers from different parts of the world approach the AI completely different. So I can give you an example. When we were interacting with customers from Asia, from a specific country in Asia, they didn't really want to talk to the AI. They were just like, mate, I just want to speak to a human.
I'm like that.
Yeah,
I want to speak to humans. I don't want to
that's
speak
it.
to a bloody bot. Oh my
That's
god!
it.
Like the amount of times I've rung up somewhere and it's like when you have to go through that annoying menu,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, "Please state the nature of the problem," da, 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 da. And I just over and over go and say, "Advisor, speak to advisor, human advice." It's like, give me the people,
Yeah,
humans.
exactly. Whereas other parts of the world, so I would say primarily the Western part of the world, the Western culture, to say, it was not really key. It was just, okay, fine. Okay, you give me the solution. That's it. That's the easy fix. There's some people
Well,
that are accustomed to it.
I can understand like saving time, maybe. But
Hmm.
then I don't know. I feel like a lot of it comes down to like if you're used to dealing with computers 24/7, maybe you're more of an introvert, you don't really like dealing with people, then yeah, maybe it is ideal. And it's cool to offer the option, but I don't like this idea of thrusting it upon people.
Hmm.
Like for
Yeah.
instance, we're seeing with banks right now, they're phasing out everything soon. Within the next 10 to 15 years, you won't see physical branches anymore.
Hmm.
Everything will be online, which for the older generations is problematic. I mean, I know the idea is that they're dying out, so therefore we don't have to cater for them anymore. I'm just saying how it is. I don't agree with that, but no,
Yeah.
but that's the mentality. That's why they're doing that. That's why they're phasing it out. The only reason that that exists, or for instance, why you're still able to go to the post office and draw out money and stuff like that, is because they're catering for that final generation who grew up with that, who that's what they're used to.
Hmm.
Um, and but it's crazy. Like even cash is something that's being phased out now, and I'm just like, what about when systems go down, when power failures happen? I mean, Wi-Fi is facilitated by electricity. If electricity goes out and you have a power cut, how are you going to pay for anything?
Yeah.
Cash is king. See,
That that it's really interesting at this point because ultimately, um, power failure, post office example that you made, these are problems that are can affect the Western, a lot of the Western countries and the Western society. But
yeah,
there's other parts of the world where they just run with the old-fashioned way. You know,
which is so much better. And like,
you know.
just something simple like tipping culture has changed now. You
Mm,
see, people don't tip anymore
no.
because everything's on card. Like, yeah, you can tip, but then even that's not as straightforward because like okay look, let's say I'm at the bar, I give you a fiver, right? I'll keep the change, right? That's fine. Whereas you don't have that with card. You're charged the exact amount, and it's a
Mm,
conscious decision to then wait an extra like minute while they facilitate the tip and you add what you want. It's just hassle. People, do you know what I mean? Like they in
yeah.
a way we've kind of lost out in tipping culture because of technology.
Yeah. Do you think we've become more lazy?
Yes and no, it depends. I think I'll give you an example.
Hmm.
Okay, we're both content creators. and we both know how much work is involved in that. We're both podcasters. We know how much is involved in that, right? It's not just
Yeah.
sit down with a microphone and record and, oh, you've got a show. Like, no, the show is the easy part. It's all the other stuff that takes forever, right? But you do a podcast, you do it for 10, 20, 100,000 episodes, right? That's an informed decision where you are committed to that work and the process involved. I think a lot
Hmm.
of people now they see like, oh, this guy, he's got like 1 million followers. Oh, I want to be like that. I want to be a content creator. I want to make that money and just make content. And like you can do that, but you have to be prepared to put the work in and everything that is involved in that, all the stuff you don't see behind the scenes. A lot of people give up. A lot of
Yeah.
people will do it for a little bit and then just they can't be bothered and they stop,
Yes.
start, stop, start, stop, start. You could argue that that's laziness. I think really it's an inability to educate people about the realities of life.
Mm.
Things take time. You have to be patient. I've been chasing my goals for 5 years. I'm I can tell you now, Ruben, I every once in a while I might have a sliver of a chance and oh, maybe this is going somewhere. And then I can't count how many times I've had setbacks. I feel like I go 5 steps forward, 10 steps back. That's my
Yeah.
life and it has been for the last 5 years. I keep going because I just can't imagine a scenario where I quit. I just, I would rather quit. Sorry, I'd rather pursue it and fail, but know I'm trying than quit and wonder like what if I'd
What
have
if?
continued, like this, yeah. But my point with all of this is to answer your question as well. No, I don't necessarily think it's that people are lazy. I just think that society has shifted in a way that has pushed consumption as like being the most important thing
Hmm.
and not necessarily pushing people to be better, to strive, to create and do things. To an extent, we're seeing on social media and creator platforms, you're seeing a lot of people putting themselves out there and trying different things, and that's positive. But it depends what the reasons are. If it's just to share your art and you with the world, perfect, that's beautiful. But when it's like, oh, I'm chasing likes, oh, I'm chasing views, oh,
Hmm.
I'm trying to figure out the latest shift in the algorithm, like people get too obsessed with all of that stuff and they get caught in that trap, and that I think is dangerous. I think it's bad. I mean, you spoke about being a mental health advocate. Like, I'm sure you recognize the issues from a mental health perspective with pursuing that and how that can have an effect on your mental health.
100%.
It's,
Yeah.
I don't know, but that's where I stand on it. I mean, where do you stand on that? Do you think people are lazy now, or was there more to it?
Well, I'll just link up to the last point where you said, actually chasing is kind of the devil pit in there because you essentially trying to chase something that you'll never actually get if that's your only goal. And I'd recently posted on my stories where the the speed is not important when it comes to your personal growth. And if you put
Mm.
yourself out there, you have to have a clear idea why you're putting yourself out there. If it's because you're chasing likes and goals and reposting or whatever, that is not giving you any type of personal fulfillment. Like honestly, for me, is I advocate for mental health because I got caught up with the social media at the beginning with the FOMO, you know,
Ah,
because okay,
fear of
I'm a
missing
model.
out for anyone that's
Yeah,
curious.
yeah, yeah. So I got that because of course when you start your modeling career, that's all you're chasing, eyes on you. Where I always knew that all eyes were on me, regardless.
Is that something the industry pushes, or did you just feel that pressure?
No, I think it just it is what is the fashion because ultimately it is about being there. Being part of the fashion is creativity. You want your creativity to stand out, regardless of whether you're in fashion or you're in photography, you're in art, or you're in music. You want to be seen. And for me, like being on that position where I can't be seen on the social media, but my actual visibility can be increased 10x just because I'm following a trend or I'm following a specific brand or whatever. That gives you that kind of tick, and then you just follow that and you lose yourself, I'll say, because you don't really know why you're actually doing that. So for me, it's really important when I advocate, for personal growth and mental health, just to understand what is the ultimate goal. If you're chasing, likes and visibility, at the end of the day, you will be just there at whatever 70s, 80 years old, and you're like, oh, okay, was that it? Is that it? So you have that speckle of shine on you, that spotlight on you for a bit,
I know what you mean to an
and
extent. I
you
don't
know
know.
it it is the adrenaline, the dopamine kick
mm.
that we enjoy. That's a part of the human nature. Regardless, of course, you want that to be filled as much as possible, but it can't be sustained for a long period.
No, I know what you mean. Like, obviously, sooner or later, you want to be the center of attention. You want to be appreciated. I think
Yeah.
for me, it's more, I want to be successful to the point where like I'm doing all this stuff for a living. So that like I'll give you a perfect example, right?
Hmm.
When people look at me and they ask me, what do you do for a living? I want to be able to confidently say, like, I'm a creative. I do acting, I do voice acting, I do music, content creation, whatever. And like I know in my heart of hearts, that's my life, and that's all my life. And I do what I want. I have the freedom to do all these things.
Hmm.
When I'm doing like hospitality, there will be times when like people say, "Oh, so is this your full time job? Is this what you
Hmm.
do?" And in my heart, I'm like crushed by that question. It's just a question. It's just a question.
But how much does that affect you, though?
Oh, so much. It breaks my heart.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and depending on what mood I'm in, sometimes I go no, and I say all the things that I do. Other times I just kind of go like, oh yeah, whatever. It just pays the bills. I don't know, but I'd be lying if I said it doesn't crush me every time I hear that question,
Yeah.
because I know that the person asking it, just sees nothing. And I'm not doing this to please other people or impress other people. Absolutely not. But I remember one time years ago, I read somewhere that anything that offends you or hurts you, like the only reason it offends or hurts you is because you denote that there's some truth in it.
Mm.
And I
Wow.
thought about that because if you can easily dismiss it, then you know it's just nonsense. But I know that, oh well, this isn't. I'm relying on it, so and this is the main thing that I spend my time doing. So I guess, yeah, I guess this is my full time job.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
And
oh,
yeah, and personally, there is where you define success in yourself, because ultimately, for the current journey that I'm pursuing, of course, I'm a model. I do modeling. I do, advocacy for vitiligo as well, and mental health courses as well. Uh, it really depends on how you define success for you, because if you have to be willing to be kind of laughed at some point. Because personally, I had that quite a few times, and still I am.
who
And I'm
laughs at
like,
you? What are you on about? Who? Like who?
oh, 100%, 100%,
Like who? Who's laughing at you? Come on.
Yeah, yeah, 100%,
No, but who? Give me an example. What do you mean?
oh, well, I lived in Italy. I live in the
Okay,
UK. I travel quite a lot. And, when I do speak about my experience, you
sure.
know, uh, um, I'll make an example. I'm a model. Okay. I'm a fashion model, because you,
Hmm.
you can define the model in a different type of way. And if I go back in Italy and they ask me, okay, Ruben, what are you doing? I'm a full-time model. And the answer will be, oh, you in Italy.
Why?
Who?
Why do? Why do? Why do they? 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 Why do you think that they have that response?
just they're not accustomed to it. Now, the society is completely different compared to the UK. It's not diverse, it's not multicultural. So there's a standard in type of beauty that can be
Oh,
to,
okay, right.
you know. So when I do express myself and present myself as a model, people are like, you cannot be a model. How can you be a model? That look at you, you know. So,
People say that?
oh, mate,
That's
yes,
wild.
yes. Now, it's
Jesus.
nothing against the country or whatever,
It's just
but
people. There's
eh,
just it don't matter where you
eh,
go, there's gonna be people like that.
exactly. And it really depends on where you actually put, in is your environment, that phrase they say you are the product of your environment.
Mm.
So you should be able to find your own environment. And I managed to find my own environment here in the UK, in Manchester and London, because I got the opportunity and I put myself out there, which is something that I was not able to do in Italy because I got pretty much, shelled within my family, and those few places that I used to go, just school. I used to play football when I was a
Mm.
kid, um, and never really go out that much for a night out with the friends, just because all my friends were scattered into another region. So it was really difficult for me just to reach them. So I didn't really have the opportunity in Italy to just express myself with my vitiligo and be proud of it. Whereas every time I go back, I'm aware who I am. I know I am a model. I have vitiligo, and I'm proud to just walk there and say, okay, if you don't think I can be a model, that's fine with me. I don't care. You can laugh at me. But I know at the end of the day that the fashion industry or being a model means different things. And your vision of a model doesn't really define who I am as a model. So that's the point where I managed to reframe the okay, you laughing at me, but you don't really know the whole picture. For you, I don't know. When you talk to someone may think, okay, you're doing this full time. Someone may ask, okay, you are a content creator, but what is a content creator?
You know, sadly I can relate. I've had conversations where different, but like I say like, oh, I'm doing this, and they're like, oh, really? Oh, that's
Mm-hmm.
surprising. Or like, oh, I didn't think that you would do something like that. Or oh, it's almost like a backhanded compliment or like an underhanded, you know. Um, but it's wild. I mean, like, because when I look at you as a model, right, and I see the way you compose yourself, I mean, I largely look at things from a business perspective,
Mm-hmm.
from also just like a visual perspective as well. Like, when I like, there's this amazing shot of you, right? I think it's the pinned image on your Instagram. Maybe I don't know. It's part of a campaign,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
like the one thing I've always admired about models is like stances and stuff. Like, I feel like a good model has a good understanding of posture, eyes. Like that. I remember when you there was one video that you showed me of you on the catwalk, and like your eyes were perfect.
Mm-hmm.
There was no faltering. It was just you know it was
Yeah.
incredible. I don't know. Like I look at things like that, but I know what we're talking about is people's beauty standards, perception of beauty, which I mean that's a whole conversation in of itself. Like
Yeah.
what's considered beautiful, that changes all the time anyway. Like I don't even know where to. I don't know. Like to me, it's like neither here nor there. But like I understand that people are like that sometimes, and I find a lot of the time when people have that kind of attitude about people chasing their dreams or like how you present yourself, or
Mm-hmm.
it comes from a place of like they're not doing it, so they kind of it's envy, it's jealousy. I don't know how else to put it. That's you know that's how I see it, at least. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know, because everyone else that's positive will say like, "Oh wow, that's cool, man. You're chasing that dream." Like, I'm passionate about this. Like usually someone will share something they're passionate about or that they're pursuing, or you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Like they don't punch down.
yeah. And at that point, I would just ask, what was the thing that didn't allow you to just chase your dream? There's a lot of things that circumstances that go through it. So, okay, you just taking the mick out of me. Okay, what, why? Just because you're not happy, you are kind of unsatisfied of what is going on at the moment with your life, and I can't be accountable for that. That's you. So that's why for me, when I just go back in Italy or when I just travel, whatever, or even here in the UK, can happen, and people laugh at me. I'm like, oh, okay. Do you probably because you don't have a clue about what is vitiligo, you don't know about what it means to what is a model, you don't know what is to be learn about self growth, be passionate about something that you love and pursuing that and the sacrifice that you have to do for that. You don't take that into account. So to me, it's just pointless to entertain the conversation with you. I mean, I'm absolutely open to just start the conversation, but it really depends on how you present yourself at the
I
end.
just love
So,
the way you put that. Like it's so, what's the word?
so
Eloquent. Like I'm not willing to entertain a conversation with you. Like just oh, done.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So that's why
Oh,
I put myself in that position where sometimes I'm really open to just entertain, like to speak with everyone because I like to know about different culture, different way approaches, and way of thinking because I want to learn. You know, I'm not the Wikipedia, the walking Wikipedia. So I like to be that sponge that can learn something from you, regardless of you being absolutely mean to me or absolutely like extremely kind to me. I want to learn something. So for me, it's really important just to interact with people, and perhaps this is something that helped me a lot to push myself forward to do the first step. Try, try.
let's talk about vitiligo.
Mm.
So I know very little about vitiligo. I think I learned about this maybe 3, 4 years ago.
Hmm.
Um, let's start with okay. So do you know roughly how many people in the world have the condition?
Yeah. Currently, we sit in globally
Yeah,
between 1% and 2% of the population is affected by vitiligo.
it's pretty high. Like I mean, in terms of like when you look at like overall the whole
Overall,
world,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, we're talking about
Um,
1 to 2%.
when because obviously you would have grown up knowing like okay, so like my skin looks a bit different, but
Hmm.
you like as a being a kid and learning about these things is very different. I feel.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
at what age did you learn about like okay, this is a skin condition that I have. This is something that makes me unique. Like, walk us through that a little bit. I'd like to know like what childhood was like with where that was
Well,
concerned.
to get to that point, I'll say that that took a lot of time. Now, we said earlier, we are on our 30s, and to get to that point, I only managed to uh, find been happy with it just 5 years ago.
What do you think that was?
Why?
Yeah, I mean, I guess where I'm coming at this from is you're a very confident man
Hmm.
and you're confident in what you do and you push yourself as we've kind of illustrated in this conversation. You put yourself out there, you push yourself out there because that's what is needed to be successful in this world. You got to put yourself out there, you got to push yourself. This skin condition is something that some people in society would take issue with. You know what I mean? Because I don't know, maybe because society is superficial, maybe because some people just that's all they think about is looks, nothing else. I don't know. Point is, it's a challenge. It's a thing that in some circles is going to present obstacles,
Oh, yeah.
and that's something that you've proven is possible to like overcome.
Yeah.
And I would take a guess that obviously succeeding in modeling has given you that confidence, as you said, like 5 years ago. That's the journey, 5 years. So I'm just curious, like prior to that, what do you think maybe was holding you back? Like, was it just confidence within self? Was it other people's influence? Like, what was the issue that you were facing?
Right. So I'll say, growing up with the condition was the hardest bit because I couldn't really feel accepted within my community. So, and that was, my my heritage is African. I'm from African heritage, specifically from Ghana.
Oh, cool.
So that's really not really understood on the within the community. What is the condition itself? Because not many people actually have it, and there's not much knowledge about it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the research through about vitiligo is still ongoing, and still we don't really know what causes it, despite having years and years of people experiencing the vitiligo. So we still don't have the root cause of vitiligo. Can be multiple factors, but there's no still like, okay, that's the reason why you have vitiligo.
Oh.
Now, none of my parents, none of my relatives actually got vitiligo, so I'm the one in the family. Now, growing up in the that environment made me um, a bit skeptical, and in the sense of, okay, why this condition is happening to me?
Interesting.
Why, why? So I've questioned a lot throughout my childhood and my young teens. Why was that happening to me? So with that question in mind, I had to think, okay, I have to put myself out there in a way that people get distracted from my condition. So I have to push myself and give something else that people can see other than the condition. So for me, it was really important going through my childhood and my teenage years. I was quite, let's say, um, how do you say, quite positive, quite energetic, young teen. I used to play football. I run, did athletics. I played basketball as well. So I went to this with rowing. So sports for me was a way to just shift people's mind from my condition, so they could see my actual abilities, my physical abilities, and try to be out there. So that helped me a lot to just forget about the condition. So I never wanted to know about the condition because as a kid, I just wanted to be accepted for what I did rather than for what I look. So for me, it was really important. Okay, let's play football. I'm gonna be the best here in the team. Let's play basketball. I'm gonna be the best. And people actually liked it when and their mind shifted to, okay, it's just the black and white kid to, oh, is a kid that knows how to play football, is a kid that knows how to play basketball, and so on and so forth. So for me, it was really important going through that transition, using, let's say, an escape to learn about my own abilities and focus on different things about myself, which was, okay, push your physical ability, try to help yourself in be well spoken, so I could actually interact with people in a different way. Try to adapt yourself within the environment. Something that I learned from when I was a kid, to interact with different kind of communities, the African communities, the Italian community, the Asian community. So all these experiences made me just forget about vitiligo. So I didn't really want to care about vitiligo. I didn't want to learn about it. I didn't want to know how to cure it. I didn't want to, have nothing to do with it. I wanted people just to see me for what I was able to do. But then the shift got when I realized that for me it was really important, almost 5 years ago. And now I'm making a big jump. There's a big gap here. But just to make you understand that before I got to accept and push this positivity and my confidence, I had to take a step back and learn about the condition, which meant learn more about myself and learn about what the condition was and still is. And once I got to learn, and I decided to one day, I think it was the year before the pandemic, I was just there and said, "Come on, um, try to learn a bit more about vitiligo. What is vitiligo? Why is vitiligo? And what are the actual uh, impact of vitiligo?" That's why I said every time vitiligo is more a psychological, like a psyche, um, say condition than a debilitating condition, because ultimately it affects a lot of your mental health and the way you perceive the world, the perception that you have of yourself and the people around you. So I think it was around 2018 where I I had the campaign as well with a brilliant photographer called Brock Elbank, that he decided to portray people with vitiligo. And when I saw his post on Instagram, I said, I want to be part of that and see myself one day, potentially as a guy that represents vitiligo, which I'm still doing. But when I saw the result and the outcome of that, that got me to think, okay, it's better for me to just learn a bit more about vitiligo. And that's for me, that's why it's so crucial to why it's important, like knowledge, learn about what you want to, express yourself and the things that you are passionate about, learn about it. I don't know. If someone is affected with some specific condition, I'll say try to embrace it and learn about it. And if you cannot fix it, find a way where you can actually help people to go through it in a way that they can live their life. You make their life better ultimately. So that transition that took quite a lot of time. Um, I was in a poor and mental health state between my um, 14 and 17, I'll say. Then my my last year at the my first year at the uni in Italy was good because I started like really positively. But then I got injured playing football, and there is where I literally got stuck at home for almost 2 months. I couldn't really attend an exam. Back in the days, there was no really Zoom going. There was no video calls and conference call like now. So I really missed a lot of lectures. So it was not great time, and that's where really I'll say that was the hardest bit for my mental health. Man,
Can you hear me, mate?
yes,
I
my
don't.
laptop just died on me.
Oh, I'm so sorry. It's okay. It's okay.
Oh my goodness. Is it still recording?
Yeah, yeah. I've kept it going. I've kept it going. That's not
Well,
a problem.
well,
I was just a bit
okay.
gutted because we were in the middle of like heartfelt stuff there, and it just died. I was like,
Oh,
oh.
man, that's always it's like a Netflix type of show thing. No, next episode.
If you
uh,
want, if you want more, please subscribe.
yeah, exactly. If you want more, click the subscribe button and click on the notification. Remember that. No. So, oh my goodness.
Oh
Um,
gosh. All right. What was the last point you were on? You were talking about
I think it was
sort of
about the
tail end of
pressure.
your teen years and sort of moving through to a point where you'd worked with this particular guy and you'd done this photo shoot and you're beginning to build confidence and stuff. So let's kind of tail off there and go and run with
Uh,
that.
yeah. Um, again, I think it was around 2018, 2019.
Mm.
So that was the time, or probably earlier. But I did a session with Bock, which is an amazing photographer, and he did published a book called the Vitiligo series.
Oh wow.
and something clicked on me, and I was like, you know what, I want to be there. I just want to be, part of that community. So I didn't really have a community back in Italy.
Mm.
So I said, let me put myself out there, push myself, and I said, okay, let me get in touch with the guy. I sent him in an email, and we talked. He's based in London, and of my Instagram account, he said, let's go for it. Let's give it a try. And he was such a lovely guy, so genuine and kind, and way he wanted to portray the vitiligo got me thinking, hey, this is good. This is something that you should be proud of. And out of the session, when I actually saw the pictures, my confidence went like, ooh, I was just stunned when I saw the pictures because I was standing there. It's one of my favorite pictures where I was shirtless and having this strong pose, like a masculine pose. And when I saw it, and it's a black and white shot, when I saw it for the first time, I said to myself, "Wow, this is art." This is where I started kicking in. Okay, that looks good. Let me get myself to learn more about the condition. Try to learn about a few researches. Why does it happen? Which still we don't really know why. But what triggers it? Because people can actually be affected by vitiligo even in the later stage in life.
Mm.
You know?
I saw
So,
I think it was KSI possibly that had like a small amount of vitiligo on
oh,
like
really?
maybe like an arm, something like that. I remember like I was like, oh right, and like I think he's like what 27, 28. So it's like interesting that it can come out later in life. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it is. It is. And that's why I strongly advocate for it because I
Mm,
know how hard it can be if you're a kid, a teenager. It's harder when you're an adult because when you start seeing yourself for 40 years, for instance, uh, one way, you may have long hair, you may change your color, the color of your hair, uh, paint your nails or whatever. When your skin actually decides to take your own path and behaves completely differently
mm.
and just still starts to showing up, that's when you actually really mentally affected. Because you've seen yourself for away for, I don't know, 20, 30 plus years. Then the people that are in the older stage were affected by vitiligo, and I got message from different people at the 40s when they had families and kids start having vitiligo that can't really cope with it, desperately looking for a solution. I mean, it's really important to just get a conversation up. Can we do? How can we support you? I really don't know, have a clue about vitiligo, and can be if could potentially be of help.
So this is something you get a lot of people like reaching out to you that also have vitiligo and like, just asking for advice.
Exactly, because especially taking into account that world is different.
Yeah.
People from different societies and cultures approach vitiligo completely different. Well, people from Africa contacting me and saying, "Okay, how do you do that?" I have horrible experience here in Africa where I live. People in Europe that have different perception.
Mm.
In the Western, world, we try to embrace diversity in a way, and that's why I advocate much in terms of diversity. It's in South America or in Asia, it's not the same. People have really hard life. I can't really complain just to be, a guy with vitiligo in the Western society, in the Western culture, saying, "Oh, for me, for that." So
No, but I don't think that in any way like lessens your experience though. Do you know what I mean? Like it's tough. Like I remember being a kid and people would attack each other for like differences in the way you look, and part of that is just being a kid. Being a kid, like kids are brutal to each other. Like
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like it's crazy the stuff that kids come out with.
Kids
Um,
sometimes are mean.
oh my god, yeah. Uh, but like at the same time, there are other things that it's like you said earlier. You're a product of your environment. Like I grew up in London,
Hmm.
and I was from like day one. I saw people from all different backgrounds, creeds, cultures. So like I was very used to that. And I remember finding it weird years later to meet people from other places, and like maybe they'd never seen like a Sikh man, for instance, or a Muslim, or I don't know, you know what I'm saying? Like just different types of people. Like, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess that makes sense. Like where you grew up, you didn't see that, you didn't experience that, so that's different. And then of course the societal difference, like, well, this is as you said, like in Europe and the Western world, we embrace diversity. That's something that we feel very passionately about. In other parts of the world, maybe not. Maybe it's seen differently, and that is kind of fascinating. But also, it makes you concerned for people in other parts of the world that are struggling. And it's like, how do you move through that? How do you deal with like almost like overwhelming opposition sometimes,
Yeah.
and not as you say, like take it on because that's the reality. I think if anything, what we've learned so far in this conversation is that like the toll it takes on your mental health,
Hmm.
to remain strong in the face of that. Um, let's talk about that a little bit before because I want to talk to you about your work with Vitiligo Society, but I just want to focus on this point real quick. Like, how
Hmm.
did you find kind of like the mental strength to push through that? Like prior to you finding that confidence in yourself and belief in yourself and knowing that you are beautiful, like how did you kind of push through that beforehand? I think this would be very useful for people watching that might be struggling.
All right. Personally, I found myself in the position where I had family members that had conditions, let's say medical condition, and put them into really tough spots or disability. And for me, going through that and be close to them, experiencing, their suffering, made me realize that vitiligo for me was something that strengthened me to just express myself. For me, it was the real life experience, like one to one.
Mm.
Family members, um, had disabilities, we needed to be there for them. For me, is really important that you just. It was really important to just take a step back and say, compared to what they having, I am lucky. Now,
Wow.
well, I was raised in a quite religious environment and an environment where gratitude is really important. And for me, being able to just experience on the first hand, what it means to, suffer, um, made really the difference. Because again, me, vitiligo, was not preventing me to school. I could, ride a bike, could play football, could actually, entertain jokes with people, could have a social life. I had a girlfriend even when I was a kid. Uh, had that experience. Whereas, you know, some other people have it worse. And experiencing that firsthand, makes you realize that perhaps you think this is a thing. It's actually, something that to others, you're lucky. Be grateful for what you have. And when I told you earlier about, on my lowest point, I'd say when I was around, uh, okay, 17, between 17 and 19. And it was really tough. because I use vitiligo pretty much as a thing that prevented me to just experience life. So,
Okay.
so considering that, vitiligo is preventing you, not really. That's yourself, Vitiligo is not putting yourself on a cage. It's actually the mental cage. So, going through that journey for me was really key. You sometimes you have to hit bottom, say, just realize sometimes how lucky and fortunate you are. So that mental aspect is for me was key. It takes time, but I'm trying to push it every day. Not something that you just take off a box, you go for it. You just need to practice that daily. Again, beginning of the year, it was hard, but it was not hard for vitiligo. It was hard for life. So important for me, ultimately we always human being and everyone deserves some love. So, and it's really important that.
Thank you so much for sharing, man. It's just really inspiring stuff, and just it's a pleasure having you on the show, man. Um, like I said, I wanted to talk about Vitiligo Society. I've seen your posts every now and again, and I always get like really happy to see like how happy you are like promoting it and spreading awareness and stuff. It just warms my heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, talk me through your work with Vitiligo Society. How did you get involved? What kind of work have you done so far?
Yeah. So Vitiligo Society is, I think it's my first time that I decided to just find a community with vitiligo. Just when I lived in Italy, I didn't really have any point of reference. And when I put myself into that position where I wanted to be an advocate, someone that promoted positive narrative for vitiligo, said, who are the top, organization here in the UK? I live here now. Could potentially, spread the word even in Italian. That's why I made a podcast in Italian.
Yeah, I saw that. We'll get into it. We'll
So,
get into
so
it.
that for me is really important. But I want to just have an impact in presence with people, not just online. Because it's good to spread the awareness online. You want to actually have some impact as well, in the real life. So for me, it was really important. And I think it was around 29, in 2024, 2022, I started to just go in, looking for a type of organization. I want to just work with them, starting to be promoted and an ambassador
Oh
with
wow.
them. Wanted to, am I saying, support them with their work and share the new researchers as well with my community in Italy. So for me, it was really important to just decide, okay, can we do to increase this awareness? Because ultimately, if it's not on the International Vitiligo Day, which is the 25th of June, it doesn't really get talked much.
Yeah. I got to say, like it's only like I said earlier, it's only something I learned about in recent years, and I think I might have seen a bit of coverage in the media about it. I saw more people with the conditions. I was like, oh, okay, so this is like a skin condition. Because I remember the first time I saw someone with vitiligo, I don't think that I really recognized what it was. I think I
Mm-hmm.
just might have thought, oh, like, oh, that person has like an interesting birthmark. Because sometimes people have like birthmarks on like on their face or something like that.
Yeah,
And then I started seeing people with the skin condition, and I was like, oh, and like my mind is like kept in curiosity. So I'm like, oh, I wonder what that is. I wonder how, and it's intriguing to me that like even to this day we still don't have like a fuller understand. We don't know what causes it, what triggers it. That's fascinating to me. I mean, because like skin pigmentation, just as a concept, is something that shifts all the time, and
yeah,
um, just yeah, I don't know, fascinating. but
yeah,
um, but yeah, it's interesting that there's just not much out there about it.
yeah.
Like but we're learning, I
Eh,
guess.
Exactly. And for me, it was not. kind of the same thing where, we have the, I'll make an example. I don't know, the Black History Month, say.
Hmm.
Black just for a month, and that's what Morgan said. Morgan Freeman said, and
Well,
I
his
can't.
his his thought process was like, oh, it should be more like just human history. Like, what?
Yeah,
Why are we singling it out? Which I think is a fair point, but I
yeah,
think it's also you can argue it each way, can't you? You can either be like,
yeah,
we don't talk about it and we just include it as part of human history, or we do talk about it and we single out what were the issues and the problems with the way that we acted as a species at this time. Like
yeah,
I don't know. It's there's different ways of looking at it. I don't really know how to weigh in on that. It's just such a big debate. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Exactly. You kind of open a kind of worms over there. So, for me, it was really important to just get okay. I grew up with vitiligo,
Right.
and it's not something that I will get rid of anytime soon. And it's not really spoken that much. And I don't want that to be tied up. Just okay, this is Vitiligo Awareness Month. Let's start talking about vitiligo. Okay, let's talk about Michael Jackson. Let's talk about
Hmm.
Winnie. No, it's not about that. It's about having a constant conversation where okay, on a daily basis, the people that actually suffer with vitiligo, what are they going through? That's when I decided, okay, let's get in touch with the Vitiligo Society and let's see how we can work together. And Natalie, which is a lovely lady, she got in touch with me, and they said they wanted to launch a campaign. And it was at the beginning of the year where we worked together, and me and my fellow Vitiligo ambassadors, we decided just to launch this spot. And shout out to Abby, which is the director. Um, it's something that really made me understand that it's important. Just put yourself out there. Many
Yeah.
people actually have the um, courage, I'll say, but I wanted to be part of that. Just not having, not be there, and not being part of this campaign for me in a bit of disappointment if I didn't really advocate for what I do on a daily basis and what I go through on a daily basis. Just don't get me wrong. Every time I just walk around, I stare at. Every time I just go um to a place, in the back of my mind, yeah, not the devil on the shoulder would just say, "Remember, you still got vitiligo," or they might not talk to you. So these are things that may happen. But said to myself, okay, I have to be that person. I have to take that leap of faith. I have to take a step and be that part of the actual campaign. So for me, joining the Let's Talk campaign with the Vitiligo Society, and hopefully in the next month we'll have work coming out. But yeah, I think the experience to be in touch, like visibly, and interact with people flying, it made a difference. Now, we launched, me and my fellow Vitiligo ambassador, Narjeet. Um, we decided we decided to just launch, say, a meetup group in Manchester, because there was none. So we said, okay, let's how we do it, and it happened. And when we managed to, gather in Manchester, people that actually were affected by vitiligo, and even mother decided to bring her daughter from all the way from Birmingham up to Manchester. It's
Wow.
like, ooh, did not expect that. Um, Makes you understand that sometimes social media, it is good,
Hmm.
or it's a human bit that I enjoy. So
Amazing stuff, man. Thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate it. Um, let's talk about this podcast. I want to talk about it because I love podcasts, obviously.
mm, yes,
What's the podcast about? Is it okay? So it's exclusively in Italian.
It's exclusive in Italian. Working on, trying to broaden up my English audience.
Mm.
But the I made a podcast which is on my name, Reuben Sam, and stories beyond vitiligo. Because of
Okay.
course, I do talk about vitiligo, but and something else other than vitiligo. So it was really important for me, first of all, to just educate people about the condition and telling a bit more about my story, where of course I was not born with the condition. It, it happened to just get the condition, I don't know what specifically triggered it,
Mhm.
but I wanted to just share my journey that led me to my current days um as an advocate, as a model, as a podcaster. Um, I wanted to just leave that to my Italian audience because when I was a kid, I never had the opportunity to interact with anyone my same heritage background had vitiligo. I said to myself, what if in 20 years the kid in Italy that is born in Italy is not really to diversity, yet the country is still not diverse, and just goes through my same, struggles. I mean, and I thought that, and I was like, oh, it's quite a pain. So just do a podcast where I could share my experience and my struggles. So that, a young kid or, that teenager at least gets educated. Podcasts are there, and I don't think that we're gonna get rid of podcasts in the next 50 years. And I hope not, because I'm really a podcast. I do podcasts every day. So I said, let me do a podcast and leave this for the Italian audience, educate them the whole.
Something really interesting in what you said there that I just want to pick up on. You're like, what if a kid was listening to this, going through the same struggles that I went through? I'd want to educate them about it. I'd want to. So, do you feel the weight of responsibility as far as being like a role model? Like a to provide inspiration, to provide maybe guidance for people, maybe to inspire people that and be like, hey, listen, look, I made a success of myself, so can you?
I'll say, yes. So ultimately, I do generally believe that each one of us has got their own purpose in life, and not by chance I got hit by vitiligo, and still have vitiligo, but I'm fully capable of doing whatever the human being can do. So why not being that person? Even if a person can be affected, um my work that I've done, I'm still doing. Yes, for me, it's really important to just push that. You know? Again, as I told you, I grew up in a really religious and spiritual family where gratitude is really important, and giving well is part of the values that were pushed down from the family for us, and support others. What within my community I learn, and I felt the responsibility ultimately. I do feel that each one of us has got their own, let's say, call. If you're religious, you have your call. If you're not religious, then you have your own motivation. But I do believe that be a responsibility. I say yes, ultimately. Yeah. Vitiligo will stay with me till the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, like you're an inspiring person. Like when I look at your content, it's inspirational content. It's like there was a video that you posted the other day. It kind of got me a bit emotional because it was about the journey, the struggle, the things we deal with every day. Like I really relate to that. Yeah, there's some days when I'm exhausted mentally, physically, spiritually, and it's that ability to keep going through all of that, through every setback, every rejection, every struggle, every person with their comments or whatever, like, the weight of it all and the ability to just keep going and keep hanging in there. There's a lot to be said for that. And I feel like that's where we build our strength from. It's not from being given opportunities or from like just getting older. It's from getting through those hard times and realizing we can get through it. And
Yeah,
that's what strength is.
yeah, exactly. Because ultimately, if you just trickle everything down, ultimately, if you're just able to just overcome that small, say, hurdle, makes you realize, okay, that you've done it, and it's time for me to just get to the next hurdle. You got stronger. And I put the story today, and it was about the gym where it was a couple of weeks ago. I couldn't really lift 100 kg on a squat, and I think I just did two sets, repetition. Whereas today I went for it, and it was 4 repetition. I was so happy. And people from outside may see like, oh, okay, it's not much over there.
Oh,
Oh,
it's
I'm telling you.
huge. It's huge. No. Jim, like, I get it, man. Jim is like, just to get that when you've been working at it for like say a month, two
Yeah,
months to get that increase, and you finally get it. It's like, it's like you feel like a superhero.
yeah, exactly. And that just comes down to yourself, what yourself, your expectation, what are your goals, what is you that the hurdle you overcome, is that hurdle that was stopping you. Okay, now I'm gonna crush it. And if you can't really crush it, hey, just smear, just to try to, reduce that in a way can allow you just to move forward. So for me, it's incredible how an Olympian like Usain Bolt in for years just to get his prize 9 second and in six, I guess, also in four. He went for training for almost the 9 years to just get that 9 seconds of glory. And you can't stop, and you just stop now because you didn't really get that immediate, feedback. For me, it's really important to push that, keep trying, keep pushing. That for me is the had to live a message. That would be my kind of final message. Like it's hard. I'm still working. I'm still on that journey.
Oh, I know, man.
Uh,
Major
so
respect to you. Like, I'd see all the bits you're doing every day, and I'm like, this is why I said like at the beginning about spirit animals. Like, yeah, I know the
yeah,
grind. I see the grind.
so it's really important just to push that, because no, I'll make mistakes. I'm ready to embrace them, learn from them. That's the key part. Isn't it? Some people did just enjoy the actual destination, and others that just enjoy the journey. I'm the kind of guy that enjoys the journey.
What's the best advice you've ever received?
It's advice. I'll say that not many people actually do give me advice because what they advise me for is, how can you fix, you should try this to fix your vitiligo. You should try this to fix your vitiligo.
Really?
Uh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, but,
I'd be like, you should mind your own business. Like, Jesus.
so I'm not kind of guy that gets much of advice. But one thing that I do always remember is what my dad said: is try to be a good and great man. Oh, that's something that stuck with me. to be a great and good man. And I'm trying. I'm trying. So I'll say it's the best advice. Although I can be a bit biased because it's my dad, you know. Mm.
Hey, no, I mean, I think what you said there really like is spot on. Like, what sticks with you? So, like a lot of the time when you hear advice or you learn a particular lesson, it's like something just resonates, something just clicks, and you're like, that stays with you. Like, I'll give you an example. I remember one time this guy who I was in a darker place in my life. I was young. I was like 19, 20. I was not happy. I was stuck in some dead end job, and there was this one guy who was older than me who I looked up to a lot, who worked with me, and he was just like really positive, like
Mhm.
everyone else seemed negative and had like sarky, snarky comments to say. This guy was like not like that. He was just nice and friendly, and I think he could see that I was really struggling and wanted to help.
Mhm.
And I remember one time we're joking around about ladies, and he's like, "Christian, variety is the spice of life." And of course, now he was talking about ladies and like dating a lot of women and going out there and exploring. But he always had good advice, and that stuck with me because it's like that's true to everything. Variety
Mhm.
is the spice of life. When I opened up my eyes and my mind and my heart and my soul, I saw everything that life has to offer, and that's something I carry with me all the time. Is this kind of understanding that the more you open yourself up and the more you experience everything life has to offer, the more you live a fulfilled life.
Yes.
So, um,
Yeah, I totally agree with you because ultimately, um, we're not here for a long time, you say, yeah, but just for a good time. So is so let's
just here
try
to
to make
party, man. That's it.
let's try to experience it as much as we can. So in go through, years of not pushing myself out there, to be really, hiding myself, be uncomfortable and shying away from opportunities and shots, So I I took a break a couple of months ago, and that allowed me to just say, okay, it's time for you to just push it, go for it, regardless. You know?
With the
Because
break, was it like just you just giving yourself some time off and then coming back to it, or was there a deeper meaning behind the break?
no, feel that it was a slightly deeper just because I had to reassess
Okay.
what I wanted to do because with the beginning of the year, and I don't know why, but January is never good a year. I get never a good month with me. I don't know why.
The beginning of
Uh,
the year sucks. The same for me. Like this year so far has been tough. It's starting to
yeah,
get a bit better now, but mostly it's
yeah,
just been hell for 4 months.
yeah. So we try and that's where I started to just get back a little bit and said, okay, um, try to figure out, okay, what we're gonna do this year. What is not going well? How can I improve myself? Where should I go? What should I not do? And took that break because it was needed. Because since I'm involved in so many things, I need
See,
to just okay take the time and understand where should I put my actual focus on. It's just really
yeah,
important to just get that, take a step back, says, okay, I've got this to do. These are the things that I'm involved with. Cannot dedicate much of my time in there because that takes me a lot of mental strength, and energy. So when I took that moment, it's really important. It was really important to just okay, now know what I want to focus on, and then everything just trickled down. And the actual, great shoot, physical health, my mental health, went just everything.
I mean, it's a solid point. I think it's important to do that every once in a while. I think we should all probably do that. Like, I think the thing that I realized in my life was that, like yourself, I'm doing a lot of things, and one thing I realized is with whatever is the key focus at any one time, other things have to take a side seat or have to wait for a minute. You can't spread yourself, you know, across several pieces of toast like butter.
Mhm.
What a weird analogy, but like you know what I mean. Like you can't, you just
Yeah,
can't. You got to put your focus in one or two things, and that be that, and other things will just have to wait.
yeah,
That's it. You know.
yeah, and it's and once you realize that, not many people will get it. Many people will get it, and then you're like, hey, come on, I can't. So you need to get there and say, oh, sorry, but not this time. Nothing against you, but it's give myself as a priority so I can deliver the best for whatever, you know, work I have ahead.
What's the biggest life lesson you've learned so far?
Ooh, ooh,
Hitting them with the big boys.
ooh. What is the big life lesson? I'll say, really important to never take things for granted because, fortunately, I can be here now, but tomorrow is like never promised. We do plan things for the future.
What was that old expression? We make plans, God laughs, or something.
Yeah,
Something like that.
I can't remember that one, but um,
Basically, like like what you're saying, like tomorrow is not promised. Like, how do we know? Like,
yeah,
plan all you want, but like, probably who knows if it's going to happen.
yeah, exactly. Especially, no, 8 billions in this world, and things happen constantly. We can't really control it. You realize there are some things in the world that you generally cannot control. You are you're taking a weight off your like shoulders. That's insane. For me, into that point, realizing that I cannot control, how people perceive me. I cannot control how interact with me. I cannot control, the environment. You know, um, that takes you to a whole nother level. And for me, it was really important that I'll say that definitely that like realizing that I can't control everything, but I can control the way I behave towards people, my emotions, and being able to work on myself, be the best for the people that's actually are around me. That's where I can do the best. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
you can't control everything. And if you think that you can, then aware because that can be taken out of you like quite quickly.
Nah, you're spot on. Like, I mean, there's so much that we can't control in this world and this life, and it can be frustrating sometimes, particularly when it's other people. Like I was saying this to a friend the other day that like I often feel like I'm not taken seriously. Like like everything that I put in is just not taken seriously, or when people look at me, the quote unquote the decision makers, the people that
Mhm.
could influence, that could help. They either don't see me or see through me or overlook me, underestimate me. Whatever the
Mhm.
case may be, and it breaks your heart. But then at the end of the day, like if you're doing everything you can to be the best that you can be, and certain people don't respect it, don't care, see you differently, there's nothing you can do about that. So there's no point even thinking about. If you
Yeah,
really think about it, like it's a waste of your energy and time to even think about that.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So why would you just, focus on making that person just, it just one person happy, or that specific person that doesn't really give you the chance that you can actually affect other people skills that you currently have. So that's for me that what allows me every day to just think, okay, you are the decision maker, fine. Others, Sydney, Susanna, Joe, Alex, Philip, are happy with what I am doing. That's about it. I'm making their life better, sound. That's what I'm here for.
Man, did I ever need to hear this right now?
So,
It's a reminder I need to hear. Thank you.
yeah.
All right, final question for you. Do you have any upcoming projects or final thoughts that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Oh, yeah, there's few projects. Of course, I do, some contracts in place. I can't really share what specifically. Yeah, there's fashion projects, and I'm holding a talk about mental health in the
Oh,
next
cool.
2 weeks. That will be in Italian. Uh, Main reason I'm doing it in Italian because I'm trying to increase uh, start the conversation
Hmm.
yet, start the conversation about the theme about mental health within the African community,
Hmm.
especially males targeted. Because there's not many people actually talking about it. There's still a lot of stigma around it, and being able to share not about just emotion, just to learn more about how can you be the better, the uh, father, the and yeah, for me, it's really important to just get the conversation out there with the community. So trying to understand that. So in the next 2 weeks, that will be on 11th of May uh, for mental health talk in the minority community. Got a couple of projects with the fashion that I mentioned earlier, and this weekend I will have my second stop in Manchester for the vitiligo community. So again, on the ground with the community, sharing a bit of time and hear about their experience in Manchester. And what else? Yeah, I'm preparing for going back to Italy. Got a couple of friends that are getting married, so we'll be just there for a couple of days. But in projects, I'll say, yeah, the vitiligo society and the community, mental health for the my brothers, Italy, and fashion industry is still there.
Absolutely incredible, Ruben. I knew that we would have a good time together and chat. And I knew it would be inspirational, but yeah, it's still um it's been a really rewarding experience. So thank you so much for being on the show, man. I really appreciate it.
And it's been a pleasure. The pleasure is always mine. And it was great meeting you. It was great. I can see you working, and stop, stop, because it'll pay off
Hope so.
regardless.
I hope
Regardless,
so.
get your own fulfillment. But I'd really appreciate your time, and being able to share my story with your audience. And I want to say that it's really important just to keep that in mind. Try to work on yourself. You're greasing yourself, but it's a message for the audience. But learn what you're passionate and try to get to know yourself a bit more. That's where the actual win really lies, and it will just follow.
Beautiful sentiment. Thank you so much for sharing. And again, massive thank you for appearing on the show. You're always welcome back, my friend. And to all the listeners of the Christian Reeve podcast, thank you so much for watching, listening to this episode. I hope you found it as inspirational as I did. You know the jazz, you know what to do. Leave us a review, leave us likes, shares, comments, subscribes, all that jazz. And I'll make sure to leave links in the bio so you can check out everything that Reuben is doing. And yeah, let me know what you thought of this episode. Let me know who you'd like to see on the show next, what you'd like to hear on the show next. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Until next time, I'll see you in the next one.